Welcome to our Thursdays at 7 series. There's someone else trying to get in. Hang on one second. Oh, they disappeared. This is brought to you by the Hemophilia Center at OHSU, Genentech, Novo Nordisk, Grifols, Takeda, Sanofi Genzyme, Pfizer, Bayer, CSL Behring, Octapharma, BioMarin, CVS Health, Accredo, and all of the other wonderful organizational sponsors. You all know me. I'm Madonna McGuire-Smith, and I'm the Executive Director of the Hemophilia Foundation of Oregon. We're delighted to have you with us tonight. So I just talked about the muting of yourself, but we'd love to see your happy faces. So if you want to put on your video, we would love to see you. And if you have any questions, you can do you should have little symbols that you can do on your screen, or you can do a chat on the side. Oh, look, Susan just did her little thumbs up. Oh, look at all the thumbs up and high fives. Love it. I don't know how to do that. And then occasionally I'm going to share my screen. So at this point, I want to share my screen and show you some of our Thursdays at 7 series. If I can find it. Hold on. This is always the complication. I feel like I have it up here and then I can't find it. Nope, that's not it. Hold on. Okay, never mind. We won't show you that right now. We'll show you how to do that a little bit later. But one of the things I want to point out is on April 30th, we're going to do a virtual campfire. So I want you to come back and join us in 2 weeks for that one. And then this I can share because I know why this is. Here is how you get in touch with me. If you have any questions or you want to find out where the Thursdays at 7 stuff is, you can go to our website. And after today, after the Zoom call today, all of this will be on our website as well. So you can go and find it anytime on our website. It's going to be available. So I'm wearing my red today because tomorrow is World Hemophilia Day. So I hope everyone wears, oh, I see Michelle went and got her red. Yay! And Pat's got his, and Susan's got a hat. Love it. So, oh, Kevin, I can see everybody with their red. So tomorrow, it'd be great if you could wear your red and ask others to wear red in honor of people around the world that live with bleeding disorders. So I encourage you to do that. I think I have, oh, I have a chat. Somebody sent me a chat. Oh, a thumbs up from Crowley. That's awesome. All right, so it's time to get started. I want to introduce Poison Waters.
Hi, everyone. I am Poison Waters, and I'm so excited to have been invited to join you all on this important call honoring tomorrow World Hemophilia Day. I know that we were supposed to put our chat on mute, but I will never do that. I will always be ready to chime in at any moment because I always have something really exciting to say or inappropriate to say. Inappropriate. So thank you so much, Madonna, for having me. I have been the MC of Shooting for the Stars of the October fundraiser for, I think, 3 or 4 years now. It's been super duper fun. The first time I got a call from, it just said Madonna, I was so excited. I thought, oh my God, Madonna's calling me. And then it was her. But she's really great. We turned my disappointment has turned into affection, and I love her very much. And I love the group and all that you guys do. It's been really fun working with you all. A little bit about myself. I worked with Cascade AIDS Project in the HIV community for 20 years, so I know a lot of folks in the community and in the bleeding disorders, and I know that we share a lot of folks. And so it's always great working with families and working with new people. And all my time with HFO has been super duper fun. So when Madonna said, hey, we're having a Zoom meeting and it's the day before the International Hemophilia Day, do you want to come on by? I'm like, well, sure, why not? Because, I mean, where else am I going to go? You know, all of us were stuck at home and we're all finding creative ways to keep ourselves entertained. And I've eaten everything in my house and I've watched every episode of every Real Housewife. So now I'm ready to put my drag back on and come out and see people. So I'm so excited to be a part of it tonight. So thanks for having me. Now, I have a script. I don't know if you can see. It's the teeny tiniest script they ever gave me ever. Madonna is in so much trouble. When I do the October events, I make my own big font script, but Madonna forgot. She gave me this teeny tiny little thing. So, but I'm so excited to see you all. So thank you so much for coming. Everybody's big smile face. Oh, and also you all look so good in your red, except for Pat, who's got some noose or I don't know what that is. Yeah, it's so cute. Yeah, you should put it over your head so we can see it. It's really cute that way. Yeah, I like that.
There you go. Oh, Little Red Riding Hood.
Now we're talking. So I was on another call earlier and I was wearing green for another event, and then I happened to read the bottom of Madonna's email saying, "Oh, don't forget to wear red." And I'm like, "Oh no, there's a red downstairs," and I just happened to have red sequins because you should always have red sequins. Okay, now I've rambled on enough, and now I'm excited to bring to the stage. I met this guy accidentally in Portland, at the beginning of March at another event I was at, and I thought I'd never see him again. So when I looked at him lingeringly, what I was looking at him inappropriately. I thought, well, I'll never see him again. And now here we are working on this this conversation together. So please welcome, I got to look at my teeny tiny little script. You all know him already, Pat Torrey.
Yes.
Pat Torrey, hi.
Hi, everybody. If you're doing all right, give us a woot woot. We got a woot woot out there. Oh, I love it. I love it. All right. So I have had the opportunity to work with the bleeding disorder community for the last 20 years. That started right here with HFO and Camp Tapawingo. And so I thought that it would be fun for those of you that could use just a little bit of camp spirit right now to do something a little campy. Who's up for a little campy? If you are, give us a woot woot again. Let's see it. There we go. Perfect. All right. So we are going to do together a wiggle waggle. Now, I see those eyes. There we go. So a wiggle waggle, the way that a wiggle waggle works is first, all you're going to need are your two hands right here. So put your hands up. You can do a little wiggle. You can get your fingers ready to go. And then you're going to take your hands and you're going to put them together right in front like this. And now this is where we have to get really, what's the word? Dexterous or anyway, we're going to take our middle fingers and we're going to cross our middle fingers like so. Now, once you've done this, the key is a rotation where you keep your middle fingers as the pivot points and then you rotate so that you now have one finger on the top, one on the bottom, and then you wiggle waggle. Wiggle waggle, wiggle waggle, just like that. Dr. Haley, don't break a finger. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Poison, did you get it?
Well, first of all, when you said wiggle waggle, I was thinking about something completely different. But now that I see that we're a family program and I have these big rings, I think I figured it. I think I have.
That's good. That's good. You can kind of do the cheating method too if you need to, and just kind of bring your hands together.
No, I don't want to cheat, Pat. I want to do it the real way.
I love it. I love it. So come on in. Boom, boom. Wiggle, waggle, wiggle, waggle. Ooh, it kind of does. It's like a beard tickler. There we go. Like that. So here is the next challenge. What?
Wait, there's more?
If you have another person
I'm taking my
in
rings
your
off.
space with you, and I'll pretend that I do. I'm going to bring my arm over here. I'm going to pretend that I have another person in my house. Now, if someone brings their hand like so, I can then bring my hand up and bring it to their hand. We can do this, and then we can do this together. So again, I like it. Kevin's not happy. Team wiggle waggle. Now hold on, you got to rotate. You got to rotate.
Look at the Fernandez. Oh, look at Kathy and Kevin. Estefana.
Nicely done.
Well done, Maddie and Mike.
Oh, I love it.
Good
I love
job.
it. Team wiggle waggle. If you really want to go for it, you can take both of your hands up together and kind of go like high 10 style. Rotate, wiggle waggle. There's so many options. Don't throw an elbow out. Again, it's not worth it, but
I feel so out of shape. I've been eating so much during this whole quarantine. Even my wiggle waggles too. It's not going as quick as it should.
If you waggle instead of a wiggle, it gets a little tricky. So
it happened to me once.
Nice job, everybody. Way to get a little campy right there.
Oh my gosh.
Boys, I'm going to pass it back to you. Thanks for playing, everyone. I'll talk to you in a minute.
Thank you so much, Pat. Oh my gosh, I love the wiggle waggle. When we are able to touch one another again, all of my friends and family, they are going to learn the wiggle waggle. And I'm going to say, Pat taught me, and you're going to do what I say. It's going to be so fun. But I do have to say, it's best to take off your big tacky drag queen rings. Oh, by the way, I'm a man. Okay, so please, in case you didn't know. So I just met my newest friend who is from Ethiopia, but apparently he wants to keep me hopping and is actually in Toronto right now, which is super exciting. This is my newest friend, Crowley.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Uh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So my name is Frali. I have a severe hemophilia A, and I am the youth chairman at Ethiopian Hemophilia Society. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about how Ethiopian Hemophilia Society and Hemophilia Foundation of Oregon have been twined under twinning partnership through the World Federation of Hemophilia. So the World Federation of Hemophilia basically has two types of twinning programs. With the aim, like behind the twinning programs, is to uh, kind of strengthen NMOs or national member organizations in developing countries and share experience among different organizations. So the first type of the training program is an HTC versus HTC training program, where HTCs get together and they do different trainings for healthcare professionals and things around that. But our type of twinning is often referred to as a hot twinning, which is where an organization is twinned with another organization. So our first meeting happened when HFO paid us a visit in 2018, and then later on our training was approved by the World Federation of Hemophilia in 2019, and then we started to implement different projects. One of the projects was establishing different chapters throughout the country. So we only had one central hemophilia treatment center in Ethiopia, and which was really hard for people to access their treatment because most people had to travel tens or even hundreds of kilometers whenever they had a bleed. So what we did was when our partners from HFO came over to Ethiopia in September of 2019, we went ahead and established two additional chapters in different regions of Ethiopia. And the other thing we were able to accomplish during this trip was training for members, especially the parents of kids with bleeding disorders in the country, because one of the problems we faced when like our organization started to become bigger and bigger was that our numbers of the number of our members was increasing, but the number of people who were actually involved in doing the job on the ground was just a handful, just a couple of people doing all of the work. So with the aim of changing that, we organized training for parents with who have kids with bleeding disorders, which was a success. And another thing we also worked on was training for teams, which was also another one day event. And we gathered the teams, and then we did a 1 day seminar with them, and then that was also very successful. And that was aimed that the team workshop was aimed at like developing and increasing the motivation among the teams to increase their involvement within EHS. So that's what we've been able to do so far. It's been a really great twinning partnership, and we have 4 more or 3 more years to go. And I'm pretty sure we're gonna accomplish a lot of great things together with HFO.
That's so fantastic. Thank you so much, Frali. Now, I know you're hanging out, so you're not going anywhere. We're going to ask some more questions a little bit later. Right now, I just want to pivot over to fundraising, you know, that's how I got involved with HFO, was emceeing their fundraiser at the Muldham Athletic Club, their autumn fundraiser, Shooting for the Stars. And we're still scheduled to go in October. We're so excited. I have no idea what I'm going to wear, but I have to look fabulous for Madonna and her fabulous group. It's such a fun night, and I know that everyone that can be there will be there. And it's important for during times like this that nonprofits, specifically HFO, continue their fundraising and keep their visibility and keep being on the forefront of people's minds, because we need to keep the fundraising going so we can keep the program going. So not just during this time, but for years to come. So once we're all able to leave our houses and get back together, we want to keep working with HFO and making lots of money and making lots of fun and making lots of memories. You probably already know that the Unite Walk was already postponed. It was originally scheduled for May 30th, but we are now rescheduled for September 30th, and it's going to be at the Oregon Zoo. Won't that be so fun? So I hope that you all will be able to join us. And once we get the social media up and running and all the information and the invites and stuff, you'll do your part to help spread the word and get everybody excited about that. I know I'm excited. I haven't been invited, but I might just show up myself because I love walking and I love the zoo and I love HFO. So it's going to be super fun.
So he wasn't be able to read the date. It's actually September 19th, not September 30th. It's that tiny font that I put.
Oh, how embarrassing, because I even wrote it out myself. Oh, well, thank you for telling me, because could you imagine all this just walking around the zoo on September 30th for no reason? I think they would think that we were trying to refilm the Tiger King or something. Hey, old cats and kittens, it's me, Poison Waters. Okay, so thank you for that correction. Do not show up to the Unite Walk on September 30th because it will be over. It's September 19th, and I look forward to seeing you. Okay, so now it is my friend. You're back on. Oh, we have some new people that joined us, so we moved around, I think.
We did. We moved around a little bit. So
I know I got so confused. I thought I changed my hair, but I was looking at the wrong person. Okay, but y'all look fabulous, so I was not upset. Crowley, what do you have for us next?
Next, I'm gonna be sharing with you how we celebrate or mark World Hemophilia Day annually in Ethiopia. So World Hemophilia Day is basically the central event for us because we're not able to organize multiple events throughout the year because we have different logistical problems. So we get everyone together for World Hemophilia Day, and that allows us to do a lot of things with regards to awareness creation, because we always make sure to invite multiple media organizations to our events, and we also use the World Hemophilia Day as our annual meeting because, as I said, it's harder to bring all our members from different parts of the country, as we're the only central and national member organization for bleeding disorders in the country. It's harder to deal with a lot of logistical matters. So we use it as our central central event of the year. So in recent years, especially the past 2-3 years, the World Hemophilia Day celebrations in Ethiopia has been pretty successful. We've had turnouts of about 150 to 200 people per event, and we were also able to engage different media, spread awareness about bleeding disorders, and that's usually how we mark World Hemophilia Day. Unfortunately, this year, due to what's happening all over the world, we cannot organize our event, but hopefully in the coming years we'll continue to organize our big World Hemophilia Day events, and maybe it could become one of the things we could partner with Hemophilia Foundation of Oregon.
we would love that. And you know, one of the things that that Michelle is the one who traveled with me last fall to work with Frowley and the crew in Ethiopia. One of the things that they rely on is World Federation does donations of factor product. And the story is that when Frowley visited us a year ago, they did not have any factor products in the country at the time. He took home with him right before World Hemophilia Day last year a full suitcase full of factor product, and it was the only factor product in the country at the time. And a little boy got a brain bleed, and he would have died if Frowley hadn't taken the donated factor from Oregon home with him to Ethiopia when he was here a year ago. So thank goodness the great people of Oregon and our relationship with Ethiopia, we saved a little boy's life last spring. So it's a pretty impressive story of partnership and twinning and all that good worldwide love.
That's great. That's so great to hear and inspiring. And Frowley, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And Oregon, Madonna, as you know, always steps up to the plate. It's
Always.
it's a great place to be. How exciting! All right. Speaking of exciting, here he comes, my other boyfriend, Big Daddy Pat.
Daddy Pat.
I think Big Daddy Pat. That's not my camp name, but that's a good one. I like that.
That's my name for you.
What you might or might not know is my camp name is Big Dog, so it's on. It's
Oh,
on brand.
see, I was receiving that. I was feeling it. I had no idea.
I love it. Well, hi everybody again. For those of you that don't know, I run a company called Gut Monkey. We're an adventure education company, and we run all sorts of programs from experiential keynotes to ropes course programs to week-long backcountry expeditions, all for folks with chronic medical conditions. And I share that to give a little bit of understanding of where a couple of the stories that I might share come from. But what I wanted to do is talk a little bit about something that I think globally right now have been heightened quite a bit, which is emotions, and to talk a little bit about how we can effectively support each other in what has been a really challenging time for most people right now. To start with, emotions are naturally occurring. It is totally normal. We all feel them. And they can also be really uncomfortable. I'm sure that we've all had a time, even in the last 24 hours, where something happened where we felt an uncomfortable emotion. But we feel a lot of emotions out there: joy, fear, anger, sadness. And again, like, they're not good, they're not bad, they're just there, and we all have them. And so there's lots of reasons, just to like put some words to this, why we are all feeling more intensified, amplified, and sometimes more uncomfortable emotions right now in the state of our world. One of the big reasons is that we are spending a lot of time with the same people. And that can bring like a lot of joy in certain moments, but it can also bring like challenging times and frustration, and the fact that we're not seeing certain people in our life can bring sadness. Again, totally normal, but it's part of our reality right now. There's places where we probably don't feel like we've got a lot of control. We don't necessarily get to choose where we're going to go and when we're going to do that, and there's things that we can't necessarily plan for. There's increased responsibility. Has anyone had to become a full-time teacher recently, or think about the safety of their family in a different way than they ever have before? Those are all things that, again, can bring these up. And, a mixture of the uncertainty and the financial challenges that so many people are experiencing, it is, there's no question why emotions would be heightened and why people could be having intense feelings. You might have found yourself like getting into an argument with somebody that you love dearly, and even thinking afterwards, where did that come from? And that's because a lot of us are feeling these intensified emotions right now. What's interesting is that when people are experiencing intense emotions, strong emotions, which again are naturally occurring but uncomfortable, a lot of times we try to do things to help them out. And sometimes those things can be helpful. And even when we're trying to be helpful, sometimes they don't help out as much. So one of the things we do is we tell them not to feel them, and not in a malicious way. Think about this. Have you ever had somebody say, oh my gosh, I'm just so scared. And then somebody else said, oh, don't be scared. It's okay. It sounds really sweet, but what you're essentially telling them in that moment is that please don't feel that emotion. Or that emotion isn't the right thing to be feeling in this moment. And that can actually amplify the emotion versus easing it. Another option there might just be to say, you know what, it's really normal to feel that way. And that can help to relax that down. Another thing that we sometimes do is we try to actually talk people out of their emotions. Again, I shared that I do a lot of adventure work. And if you've ever seen a ropes course before or haven't, it's this crazy thing where people are climbing on things like climbing walls and structures and doing things that are fairly challenging. They're getting up to like often very high heights. And quite frankly, we build them intentionally to scare people. The whole idea is so that you can get out there and like overcome challenges and overcome obstacles and learn to manage and personally regulate emotions. What's interesting though is that because of that, I've had thousands of experience over the last 25 years of working on ropes courses to see people try to talk others out of feeling their emotions. And what often happens is that somebody is in that space and they go, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. And then somebody tries to use logic and says, oh, don't worry about it. It's okay. That rope holds like 5,000 pounds. Or somebody else says, hey, it's all right. Don't be scared. This guy over here is a pro. They've got you. And even though all of those things might be true, we don't process our emotions in the same part of the brain as we do our critical thinking. So no matter how much logic that you try to introduce into that situation, you're not necessarily going to be able to bring any ease to that situation or help someone be with those emotions by just trying to talk logically through it. And so the challenge is that we need to process our emotions. And some of the strategies that we often use culturally, like the ones I just shared, they're not working. And we need to process them because if we don't, we can get stuck. And we can get stuck and not be able to move on. Ropes course is a perfect example. Sometimes you need to get through your emotions enough to climb back down. Or you might need to like step through those emotions enough to actually study for and take that test that you're feeling fear around. Or talk to that person that you'd really like to ask out on a date. Because otherwise you're going to either just keep feeling scared or maybe feel regret because you didn't. And at some point you need to be able to function and take coronavirus and put it on a shelf for a little while so that you can actually get through your day to day. And if we don't have the space to process our emotions, eventually it will blow up. So I want to share three strategies for how we can actually work through our emotions, and so that we can use this to be with others in this space. So let's just get into it. Strategy one is the power of persistence. So here's the interesting thing about emotions. They are transitory by nature. We let them in, not out, we let them in, and then we let them out again. And it's totally normal to feel those emotions. We should, and we should encourage others to do the same. But again, if we get stuck on one emotion and we hold on to that one, things can get tough. I have a friend that likes to describe this by using that character Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. Raise your hand if you know Eeyore. Folks know Eeyore? Yep, lots of hands up there. Great. So imagine an uncomfortable emotion, or better yet, we'll call it Eeyore. So let's say Eeyore shows up at your front door. You're polite. You don't just necessarily shoo Eeyore away, even though Eeyore maybe isn't the character that you'd love to bring in your house, but you're like, yeah, come on in. Eeyore comes in. You might sit with Eeyore for a while. It might get uncomfortable to be there with Eeyore, so you might have to breathe through it. Everybody take a big deep breath. Breathe through being there with Eeyore, and we keep on keeping on, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean that has to go on that way forever. At some point, Eeyore needs to go home. We don't invite Eeyore to spend the night. So again, if we're thinking about that as an uncomfortable emotion, we let it in, whether that's fear, anger, sadness, we let it in. And then we say, all right, Eeyore, it's time to go home. And we got to let it out again, and keep on going. But it can be really easy when we invite Eeyore in, even though Eeyore might be really uncomfortable. At times, sometimes we just end up keeping Eeyore there for a while, and Eeyore sticks around for a long time. So we have to be ready to take that step to let Eeyore go. Now, the reality is that Eeyore might show up again. There are certainly emotions like grief, where at first experiencing grief, it might seem like Eeyore is there all the time. And then eventually we need to let Eeyore out, and then Eeyore might come back real quickly. But over time, practicing of letting emotions in and letting them out again. If we don't get to experience them, if we don't feel them, they can just get stuck there. So taking that time to actually feel them. Strategy 1, be persistent. Strategy 2, find someone in your life that can be with or tolerate the emotions that you are having. I have a friend, and I was going to share this story earlier, but I kept it till now. I have a friend who used to be a resident assistant. They were an RA at college, and I used to do that too. So they asked me the question. They were like, so I deal with a lot of like first year students, and they get real lonely, and sometimes they get real sad or really stressed, and sometimes they come and talk to me. And I was like, well, that's good. That's your job. And they were like, but sometimes they start crying, and I'm not really into that. So my question is it cool if when they start crying, if I just leave for a while? And I was like, no, that's not cool at all, actually. And I share that story because, one, if that person does leave during that time, it's not validating their emotions. It's again signaling to them, it's not okay to feel that emotion right now. And we want to be in a space where we let people know emotions are normal. It's okay to feel that. What you're feeling is normal. But we also want to have people around us that can also be with us when we're feeling emotions. So quick example, my 6-year-old. Right now, she's feeling a ton of emotions. She's not seeing her friends. She's seeing her little sister a lot. I don't know that that's helping her to feel a lot of positive emotions all the time. Not to say anything about sisters. I know there's a couple out there on the call, and it can bring up a lot of stuff. And so when all of a sudden she has a full-on raging fit, I need to be able to be with her anger, not push it away, not yell at her and say, stop being angry right now, but just be with it. Now, I might go over to her, and at first she might and punch and kick, and okay, we'll give you a little space. And if I keep going back, I found that eventually she just lets me be. And then I can just be there next to her. And then sometimes I'll just say, you need a hug? And she'll go, yeah. And in that moment, I'm able to just be there. And the fact that I can sit there and be there, and I can tolerate the uncomfortable emotion that she's experiencing, she can regulate her emotions off of me. And she's also learning in that process how to do that. Now, we all experience this. So let's flip the switch on Pat for a second. Sometimes I have a day where I've spent the day looking at all of the programs that have canceled in my world and try to shuffle them all into the fall. And I am just like so frustrated. And I walk in, and my wonderful wife, Amanda, looks at me and goes, hey, how was your day? And I go, I'm just so frustrated. And I just, for a little while. And she's got a lot of options at that point. And one of those is she could just jump on the bandwagon and be frustrated with me and get all amped up. But what she often does is she doesn't push me away. She just listens. And sometimes she just slides a plate of food or a drink right in front of me. And sometimes she just says, wow, that sounds really frustrating. And she's not trying to change my emotion. She's just being there while I let Eeyore in to run around for a little while, and just stays present until I let Eeyore out. Now, we've all been in those places where we both get Eeyore in at the same time, and that does get challenging, right? And so it's not that always lands perfectly, but it's important that we have people around us who can just be with our emotions. If you've got kids, as a parent, you need to be able to tolerate that emotion that that kiddo's having so that they can learn to tolerate it too. If a child says like, man, I'm feeling really scared, we need to be able to be okay with that emotion. And so what we don't want to do is just say, well, no, everything's all right, don't be scared. What we want to be able to do is show that we can be okay with that emotion by saying something like, well, yeah, I'm scared about that right now, and that's pretty normal, and tell me more about how you're feeling. And then that child's learning the process of how you tolerate emotions, and they're developing that skill as they co-regulate against you. And so this is something we're going to use this tool here. I'll share a tool which is called connection over correction, because very often we can jump in and start correcting, and that's not going to serve us in these high uncomfortable emotion moments. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't hold a boundary. If you're asking your kid to come in or you're telling them to come inside, you can still hold the boundary and say, it's time to come inside. But if someone's feeling really sad, what we're not going to do is say, well, stop feeling sad. There's nothing to feel sad about. We're going to try to connect. And that could be talking about the emotions, but even more important than like chatting about them, just create space to connect, something that feels authentic. That could be just sitting together. That could be a hug. That could be just watching a movie together. You know that time where you're both watching a movie and you're like, you're both watching it and you're enjoying it together, or you're both scared together, or you're both whatever. Like that time, it's about the togetherness part. Play a game, laugh together, do something. You could take out the trash, because there's a big difference from like, come take out the trash with me, fine, to like, hey, you want to come take the trash with me? And someone's like, yeah, sure. And now it's about the togetherness, not just about the chore. And again, validate emotions in that moment still. And the third one's real quick. The third strategy is that movement regulates emotions. Think about this for a second. Have you ever been in a place where you've been feeling an uncomfortable emotion, sad, frustrated, scared, something, and then you got into a space where you couldn't move your body, on an airplane, on a bus, in a meeting with people all around you in like a conference room? Does that like bring ease to that emotion, or does it amplify it? It tends to amplify it. Now think about a time when you felt an intense, uncomfortable emotion and you were able to move. You were able to go for a walk. You were able to go like swing a baseball bat. You were able to go do something where you just got to move. That tends to bring ease to that emotion, because we tend to regulate our emotions more effectively when we can move. And it's so easy to hear move your body and just think that means exercise. But not too long ago, we had one of those like blowout moments, but instead of the 6-year-old blowing out, it was the 43-year-old who blew out. And I was just like, I can't believe you just did that. And my wife, Amanda, looked at me and she's like, you should go take a break. And I was like, I got it. And she's like, oh, but you don't. And I was like, okay. And then she said, why don't you go cook dinner? And I said, fine. And I walked away and I went to cook dinner, and the walk downstairs didn't do a lot. But as soon as I started like chopping vegetables and starting to do this process and my body was moving, I started to feel this ease happen. And so it can be as simple as like stirring the pot, knitting in your chair. Research says that like even just reading, because your eyes are able to move in that space, can help bring ease to those emotions. And my favorite is the walk and talk. Just go for a walk with somebody, be in their presence. And I know that right now it can be difficult to find the space to possibly walk in a way that it feels safe. And obviously, if you're going to do that, you should be doing it with somebody that you're already living with and keeping that physical distancing with others. But to be able to just walk and connect, and again, you don't have to talk about the thing, talk about anything, because it's about connection over content. It's about connection over correction. It's just about the connection and enjoying one another. And this whole, concept, as Frowley and Madonna were talking about it, like this whole twinning idea, like in this model, you get to have this with each other. Like, it's nice to have someone to share experiences with and be able to just be with one another through challenges and through successes. So you can call a person and just be like, do you know what just happened to our foundation? And the other person can just be like, uh-huh, and just be and listen and hear and be able to regulate even across the telephone, even across the world. Like, this thing still works. It's so awesome that we can do it globally. And I'll end with a quick recap, but I have a friend that always just reminds me, like, be compassionate with yourself. Like, nobody's done this before. This is crazy times. This is not necessarily the time to like try to get an A+ on everything as far as like doing everything right, because we don't know what's right, because most of us haven't done this thing before. Nobody's really done this thing before. So give yourself some ease, give yourself some forgiveness, some grace. And here's the recap. Emotions are normal. Validate others' emotions. They are normal. Be persistent. Invite emotions in and let them out again. Bye, Eeyore. Find someone who can be with you with your uncomfortable emotions, and then be that person for somebody else. Remember, I already just said it, but connection over correction. Find authentic ways to connect with people. And then when emotions are high for you and others, move your bodies. Move your bodies. Figure out a way. It can be simple, but move your bodies. Thank you. Thanks for listening. That probably was a little long, but thanks so much.
Okay.
If you want more of this kind of stuff, Gut Monkey, in this time of physical distancing, has been trying to create some videos and other resources. You can follow us, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, check us out and subscribe on YouTube. And you can also go on gutmonkey.com and just jump in there and join our newsletter list, and you'll start actually getting more and more videos like this in your world, because we've got some concepts that we love and we'd love to share those things out. And if you've got things that you'd love to hear about, let us know, because we'd love to share those things out at a time when it's needed. So as we always say, be brave and stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Pat. That was so inspiring. I was taking it all in and at the same time scribbling down. You just dropped so many pearls of wisdom that I know that I can apply to my own life, but also with my family and my friends, and not just even when this is all over, just moving forward, trying to get back to whatever normal is going to look like at that point. That was all really great stuff, and I just hope I can read my chicken scratch because I was so busy writing it all down. So you just may see me requesting a newsletter from Gut Monkey just to try to get some of that information. That was so good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Madonna, guess what? You're up.
Okay, we're going to try this screen sharing again, see if I can get it right. Okay, so we're going to honor our seniors. So starting tonight, there are 2 seniors we're going to honor. The first one is Carlos Rosales. Some of you may remember him. He was at camp 2 years ago, and he got the big stick. You can see in this picture right there that he got the big stick. He is part of the class of 2020 and is not going to get to go through graduation ceremonies. So we wanted to share with you Carlos. And the other one that I'm going to share with you is someone that's near and dear to my heart. And it's my boy, Devin. So here's Devin from years at camp. Look at that fun little face where he's just laughing at Dominic getting something in his face. And then and Pat will put us through all these water games. There have been different times that I think here he's doing the obstacle course or whatever the color games are the first night of camp. Oh, the one in the middle too, he's getting the whipped cream in his face. And then archery, so it's a lot of camp pictures, and then also him getting infused at camp as well. So you can see all some fun pictures of Devin. So those are 2 of our seniors. And what we'd like to do is we'd like to honor a senior. Oh, look at that.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That's so sweet. So, and look, she's got Carlos too. So we would like to honor a senior every week on our Thursdays at 7. We only know of about 7 or 8 that we have pictures of, but if you know of other seniors out there, please reach out to them and let them know that we're doing this. We're going to let the families know in advance that we're doing recognition of them. So we're thinking of like Lucy and Zio and Edgar. There's a whole lot out there that have been to camp, and a lot of you know. So we're going to let their families know the weeks that we're going to recognize them. And then we're going to pick a week that they would have normally graduated. And we're going to feature them on our Facebook page throughout the whole week so that they can see the recognition that they deserve, since they're not going to get to walk across the stage and get that diploma. We're going to try to do our best for those in the bleeding disorders world to get a little bit of recognition for that, finally finishing that 12th grade year. Although, like Devin likes to say, I'm basically done. I don't really have to do anything else. I just get my diploma in the mail. And as a mother, of course, I'm like, no. Look at him sitting there in the chair, like so smug. Like
He's like, whatever. I've done my time. Let's move on. What's next? Yeah. No, Devin, you don't know. You need to put on the cap and gown. I mean, even you're not going to be able to, but you should, you know what? I'm encouraging, because I have a lot of friends with families and seniors and stuff, and I'm encouraging folks to make their own little mortar cap and gowns, because some people, the quarantine happened before most people had a chance to order theirs. So if you have yours, I encourage you to wear it and have a ceremony at home and put it on social media. But if you want to make your own, well, then I think that's such a crafty way for the family to spend time together. And I know every family has, even if it's drapes or an old maternity dress or just something. And I just think it'd be so fun, because you want to get those photos and memories. And Devin, don't deny your mother this moment. She wants some awkward photos of you, and you can just roll up the junk mail that came in the mail, the flyer, the sale papers, whatever, and she can hand it to you. It'll be really sweet, Dev.
How cute would that be? Oh, I'm sure he just would love that.
Does that mean we can all start sending maternity dresses to Corvallis now? I think that there's some good opportunities here.
No.
To all your seniors, everyone just send like maternity dresses, or even like an old shower curtain. Maybe if it's got some mold, rinse it off. I don't know. But I just think there's ways to kind of make up for it. Yeah, that really has been something. I love that folks are actually starting to honor the seniors and bring that up, because it's something that you kind of forgot. Like, there's people, adults, we're worried about lost income, lost vacation, lost this, but it's like, wait, you can make more money. You can go on vacation.
Right.
You can get your job back. But these kids, you only graduate once. You only go to the prom once. You only do, baccalaureate, all the different things. And so it's inspiring to see so many adults realizing that and letting our seniors, our teenagers get that we get you're missing out on this. So, Devin, don't deny your mother this.
All right, one more thing I'm going to share on the screen. I found it. Here's our schedule for the weekly connections on Thursday nights. So next week is product safety. So if you're at all worried about whether the virus is transmitted through the products, Griffles is going to tell us all about that next week. Then I told you we have our virtual campfire on the 30th. And then Bayer's going to do something probably similar to what Pat did with us tonight, but talk with people about managing some self-improvement or some life changes, and how that can reflect back on you, and you can become a much better person. I'm still working with the treatment center on what we're going to do on the 14th of May, and Pat's kind of involved in some of those as well. So we'll probably have something fun and exciting for the 14th of May. And then the 21st is going to be some gene therapy, and we're going to discuss a little bit about how those treatments are working. And we actually have a person in our community that's on a gene therapy trial right now. So it's fun to know that it's actually working right now. And then on the 28th of May, we'll do something else real fun. And we're already planning for June as well. So there's many more of these Thursday nights to come. I didn't see any questions in the chat box.
No, the chat box, I think, is just not the way to go. I think we are here. We want to see each other. We want to hear each other. So if somebody has a question for any of the panelists, or just for each other, want to give a shout out to yourself, be sure to unmute yourself. Maybe raise your hand so we know you're going to talk, or just unmute and let's see what you have to say.
I think someone must have a question for Frowley.
Maddie, you look like you have something to say. Or do you just always look that way? There's always a question on Maddie's lips.
Nobody has any questions for Frowley or Pat? You're so
Y'all are,
quiet.
you're so polite. You're so timid, which I support. As Pat taught us, I support your timidness.
So I got an anonymous message in my chat box that says, those red sequins are so amazing on Poison.
Oh, I was wondering who else was wearing red sequins. How dare they? Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da.
Look at that.
I was telling the other group I was wearing something else because I changed to red for you all, and I was wearing something else, and then some smarty goes, "Are you wearing shorts?" After you can all these Zoom meetings, people are wearing pajamas or flip flops or whatever, and I confess I am wearing some blue and white plaid shorts underneath this dress, and I have gnarly feet that need a pedicure immediately.
Well, you have been a joy to have on our call. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Madonna. Thank you so much for having me. And it's good to see some familiar faces and hearing some inspiring stories and meeting new friends. Frowley, I know you're gonna Facebook friend request me at any moment. I can hardly wait. And Pat, I look forward to working with you because I want to learn how to climb a wall. And some of the other groups I work with, I want to maybe introduce you to some of that stuff. So thanks, everyone. That would be me. I would go like 2 rocks and I'd be like, get me down. Get me down. So thank you all so much. It's good to see you all. Take care.
Well, thank you, everyone. See you next week.
Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.